Okay, so now our actual aim here is to secure our site, which is SQLI-Dwarfs.n. Now here we go. This is our site. We need to defend this site from SQL injection based attacks. Now let me just log into the site. Yes. So, well, this is the site and I've logged in as the administrator. Well, what do we see here? We see that this site is not updated. It says that WordPress 3.2.1 is available and it asks me to update. Why shouldn't I do it? Well, I have quite a few plugins here, around 13 plugins. Now I'm not sure if all of them are going to work with the new version. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to secure the current version, that is the version which this security usage is running on is WordPress 3.0.3. Okay, now let's look at the files of the existing site. For this, let's use a application called Windows grep. In case of Linux, you can use the grep commands to search for anything in files or folders. But in Windows, since that option is not, so here we go using Windows grep in order to do the search for us. Now what we would like to search is, first we would like to find out where the mysql_query commands or the function mysql query has been used in all the PHPs that are running for this site. We need to match the case and let us search for this. Should be the www root is the folder that contains all the files for the site. Let's include that in our search, include subfolders, and then we will search through all the star.php files. Okay, now it's searching, it's counting files. So in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to look at why we're searching for mysql_query, because that function mysql_query is the only interaction that the site can use to interact with the MySQL server. Okay, here we have come up with the results. Now we see that WordBooker is a plugin using MySQL query, and since none of these are variables which can be taken from a text box in the site, this should not really matter for us. Then here again, it does not look like any of these are from text boxes. So let's look at WPDB. Well, this seems to be running MySQL query of $query, which seems to be very general. Let's look at what this wpdb.php is. Fine. wpdb.php should... Here we go. It looks like all the MySQL queries in WordPress are routed through this WPDB, because this seems to be an abstraction layer which runs all the queries through this WPDB object. Let's look at it. Okay, it looks like this WPDB has quite a few things inside it. Now let's look at what all is done before a query is run. Let's search for mysql_query. Okay, line 112. This is run inside the function query. So it seems like anywhere a WPDB query function is used will run the $query through the MySQL query function. Now what has been done in this function? before the MySQL query, this result is equal to MySQL query of $query and $dbh. Now the result from this MySQL query will be returned back when WPDB query is used. Now just before this MySQL query function, there are a few things which check whether the query is an alter table, create table, insert or delete, update and replace, which should not bother us. Now we shall look at where all WPDB query is used, since this directly runs the query under MySQL query. Let's search for WPDB query now. Okay, search through all the PHPs. Now why we're doing this search is we want to make sure that any variable which is involved in a query cannot be manipulated by the user in order to contain any MySQL sensitive statements like the one which we used in the previous SQL injection hack on the site. Now let's take an example of link.php. Well, here WPDB query is run on update WPDB links set category blah 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 and $all links. None of these seem to be a variable through a text box. Let's go to something else. Right here there's WPDB query, WPDB prepare, delete from WPDB user meta where user ID equal to %d and meta key equal to $block prefix and blah 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 blah. Okay, yes, there's a $user ID here. Now this $user ID is surely different for different users. So here there is a possibility of the user manipulating and using MySQL sensitive statements inside the text box. But here we do realize that there is one thing, WPDB prepare. So this query, delete from WPDB user meta where blah 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 blah, has been sent to a WPDB prepare function first. So now what exactly does this WPDB prepare function do? Now let's look out for the WPDB prepare in this WPDB.php. Let's look at where this function prepare has been defined. Okay, so what we see here is this function prepare is first replacing all the single quotes in the query